Playing with friends is the most fun way to play ESO. Taking your favorite build and jumping in is always exciting. But even if you have a group of strong players using only solo builds, will only get you so far. The power level of an organized group is significantly higher than a group made of individual solo builds. That is why in this video I'm going over a few key things I keep in mind when I'm building a well-organized group. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Hello everyone, Sayphex here. The first thing to consider when creating your own group is buff coverage. You want to provide as many major, minor, and unique buffs as possible, not just to yourself, but to your entire team. The easiest way to do this is by using buff sets. Ideally, each teammate should wear at least one buff set, and depending on the role, probably even two. There are a ton of great sets out there, but I would recommend starting with the most popular and obviously the strongest ones. One of the few would be Rallying Cry and Powerful Assault. These two are essential are used in nearly every PvP group as they give you a lot of value for what they provide. Other good sets are also Spell Power Cure and Saxling Champion, which they also provide good options for both PvP and PvE content. There are many more sets and buffs to keep in mind, and honestly, it would take a while to get over all of them. That is why I've created a simple buff priority checklist tool that you can get through my Patreon. It helps you track which buffs you already have and which ones you're missing while setting up your group. I'll talk a bit more about that in the end of the video, but just letting you know that it's out there if you need extra help. Another way to adding buffs is through scribing. It's a perfect way for covering minor buffs, especially, for example, minor courage, minor vitality, minor protection, and so on. When building your group, I usually check what buffs my classes already provide. And based on what we're missing, I would fill the gaps with the custom scribing skills. This system is super flexible. I love it, and you can mix and match the effects based on what your team needs. When it comes to class selection, you can absolutely start with the ones that you and your friends enjoy playing. Just to make sure, I would adjust my skills towards more group-oriented setup. That means that I would equip skills that deal more AoE damage instead of a single target. For example, let's say Talons from DK. This specific skill gives you an AoE damage plus a synergy, which is absolutely powerful. Then I would try to get skills that buff your whole group. For example, Rune Guard of Freedom from Arcanists. This skill doesn't only give yourself minor protection, but also gives minor resolve to your entire team. Plus, it procs the passive or Arcanists for minor evasion as well, so you can see how much potential you can get from just one skill from a set class. And of course, I recommend that you use synergies. That said, the best approach is to mix and match the classes based on what works best in a group a group environment. Some classes bring unique buffs, or others bring insanely powerful ultimates that are simply too good to ignore. With subclassing in mind, you can always add or remove skill lines that you're not using, or even better, add the ones that will fit in your group playstyle even more. Who knows, with a bit of tinkering and testing, you might stumble upon something game-breaking. Synergies are next, and they are insanely powerful group tool. You should absolutely be using them. They deal not only solid damage, they also restore resource, which is very necessary, and overall they add a ton of value to your group. In general, some of the strongest synergies actually come from ultimates. For example, Standard of Might from Banner from DKs, or Solar Prison from Templars. This is one of the strongest damage dealing synergies in the game. There are also some non-ultimate synergies which are worth mentioning, for example, Rune Break from Arcanists, or again Talons from DKs. Or maybe some defensive or utility options from non-class skill lines, for example, Altar for healing and Orb for damage or resource recovery. The next tip is cross-healing. Cross-healing is vital for any group. It's the lifeline of any coordinated group, and to be honest, this is one of the reasons why groups are so hated by solo players. At the minimum, I would recommend that each player should run at least 2 HOTS because they can stack up to 4 times per player, and in combat, they can heal anywhere from 1k to 3k per second overall. The most popular HOTS are regenerating from rest of skill line and echoing vigor from assault skill line. In general, in combat, your health always goes up and down. It fluctuates. And these heals are core to your loadout, to your survival, and I would think about them as trying to buff up, which is already a core mechanic that you have to keep up, but these HOTS are quite necessary for your group survival. Next, and the most important thing when playing as a team is your mindset. You need to understand that you have to function like a well-oiled machine. Every aspect, from your gear, your skills, your movement, your positioning, coordination, and so on, needs to work in sync if you want to stand out, survive, and challenge other organized groups or even Zergs. One of my number one rule is stick together. The tighter your formation, the stronger your group becomes, because usually the range of where your buffs and heals operate, the stronger they are, the shorter the range they affect. So if you stick together, you will buff up the whole group with powerful buffs. Next, to be effective offensively, coordinate your ulti dumps. Let your group leader or your shot caller make the calls from when to push and which target to focus. Because focusing the same enemy or dumping the damage in sync is crucial. For many, this is basic group PvP logic, but it's often overlooked by newer teams. Because when you stack a lot of burst damage, usually people don't have a way to counter, they will just be dead. Before we wrap up, I just want to quickly mention something that I'm really excited about. I've recently launched Patreon, where I'll be offering extra tools, templates, checklists to help you and your team organize even better. Right now, you will find so-called the buff priority checklist, which helps you and your team make sure that your group has all the important buffs covered. This checklist is tailored for both PvP and PvP content separately. So the ranking of which buffs are selected are based on those two contents. In the future, I'll be adding even more tools designed specifically for players who want to take their group to the next level. If you enjoy this kind of content and you want to support what I'm building here, check it out. You will find the link in the description below. Thanks a lot for considering, and have a great day, and goodbye.